What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to your channel dedicated to La Vecchia Signora, the AJC. It is match day. It is Juve. It is Cagliari in the Coppa Italia. And yes, I see it already in the chat there. We got a wild lineup if that is in fact what Thiago Motta is going to go with. And many of us have just been saying, try something. Try anything. And I don't even know if those of us who were looking for change expected or could have seen something so drastic. But again, we wait to see exactly what he is going to do. I've got Paolo with me. Paolo, how are you doing today, brother?
Buongiorno. I'm good, thank you.
There you go. And, of course, Omer. Omer, how are you doing, brother?
Of course, Omer. That means I'm here too much, right?
No.
Okay.
It's, of course, Omer because we've, it's 2 out of 3 is usually, more often than not,
Yeah.
you and myself, my man.
Yeah. Putting in a lot of shifts. I'm fine. I'm great. And I'm obviously enjoying doing that. Yeah, let's see what you have in store for us today. Never a dull moment. Only dull
Never a
matches.
dull moment. So we've got investigations into what happened with Vlahovic. We've got a player that needs a workload management in Douglas Luiz. We'll take a look at the details there over yesterday and today, what's going on with the player. We've got that wild lineup we're talking about. There's quite a bit going on. And then, of course, the matchup itself today. I want to let everybody know watch along is in effect. There will be a watch along today and it will kick off 20 minutes before the match starts. Also, we'll get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way, but don't forget, triple giveaway live on match day with Fiorentina. A lucky winner will be chosen. And then from there, who knows? Maybe you only want one. Maybe you want to share the love with others in the chat on match day and spread it out amongst the HAC community. But we got a massive giveaway. You've got to be subscribed to be entered. All right, now, what's up to everybody in the live chat? Let's go. Skippy's in here. Swarit's in here. Giratina70. All right, talking about starting this crazy lineup in the Coppa Italia. Might as well try it in Coppa. We'll talk about the significance of this actual game today because some just brushing it off and say just go with it in Coppa, whatever happens happens, but we're going to tackle it all together real quick here. First, the investigation opened up by Digos on the Juve fans for what happened with Vlahovic, trying to figure out if there was in fact threats made and in fact if there was any racial remarks, etc. They're just investigating it right now. There has been complete silence. The media has been running wild with it. It's an absolute mess. And you have a game today that Vlahovic is going to be more often than, well, most likely leading the line for Juventus. It's at home. Everyone's going to be there. Should the club have come out and addressed this, or at least made an attempt to try and clean this mess up just a little bit for you guys? What do you think? And let's start this one off with Paolo.
I think they should. Clubs have funny relationships with their fan base. They need them. They want them. They have to cater to them. They want to be open door and responsive. And at the same time, they want them to just stay out of their business and not cause a problem. It's always a bit of push and pull with fans. They need to address it, though. And the fan base have to have representatives that they can trust that can also develop great relationships with the club. So they should sort this stuff out, and we should never have to hear about it.
Yeah. Omer, what do you think? Should the club have stepped in and attempted to clean it up a bit?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with Paolo. But Juve have never been, their social media and the way they handle this stuff, it doesn't feel right when it does happen. So maybe it's better that they didn't, but like on the surface, it seems like they should have because it kind of gotten out of hand.
Yeah.
And we know Dushan is an emotional guy. It's not the first time. We have seen it before. So yeah, something really hit a nerve. I mean, something made him act that way. It's not that he's like that every match. So last time I can recall was against Atalanta. last season, if you remember, where you really lost it because someone called him Zingaro from the bleachers, and it really irritated him. So that's what usually happens. But either way, like the club should step in. It shouldn't be Dushan against the fans. That's unhealthy, to say the least.
Yeah, it's just again, I don't understand to the degree of how intense, especially with the way the results are going, and you could feel like this thing is not just crept up. I mean, it's been brewing for a bit. We had them get saluted by the crowd, and the crowd literally yelling at them to show their balls. That was in a visiting match, okay, in a visiting stadium when they went to address them. This thing's been brewing, and now, like, after this latest result against Venezia, that's way over the top. You've got to step in. You've got to do, but it just shows me something that we spoke about just recently on the show where I said, where's the leadership? So for some of us that maybe thought that it was going to be Giuntoli's show, because we know Ferrara and Scanavino are numbers guys. They're most likely temps, to be honest, till we get somewhere financially where we want to be. And it was believed that potentially this is Giuntoli's show. They're going to run the money and everything, and then the rest is going to be Giuntoli's show, a little bit more beyond just a sporting director. But we can clearly see, I think, through this situation that that is not the case. So you still don't have this figure of authority at this club. Mm-hmm. You don't. You have a sporting director, you have a head coach, and you have a couple temps and money guys, and you have Elkan, who this is just a small piece of the puzzle in his world. So it's not going to be to the significance of the guy we had before, where Juve was his world. And
should it be Chiellini in his new role? Maybe he's the one who should take care of it, because he has the appreciation of the fans and the Curva especially. He's sort of in charge of player-club relations. Maybe he should be the one addressing it.
I don't know. No, like you got to be in the actual role. Like you need, because then all of a sudden it looks like what you're trying to do. It looks like you're trying to get a player that has the admiration of the fans and everything to kind of like smooth things over. And that's only going to even kind of last for a bit. He's either in the role, as the chief, or you're not. So I think maybe we realized like we're still lacking that. You need somebody at the top, and it all bleeds down from there. I don't know. It's a mess. It was an ugly situation, and Juve continues to remain silent, and they're not making things work. Like this game, like let's say we go down one. I don't expect it or whatnot, but like if you go down one and you're at home and it's Cagliari and Coppa, like it's just gonna spiral, and you've like attempted to do nothing. I think it's even awkward, Vlahovic just getting out there again with no message from the team. To be quite honest, it's like it's almost like we're at a boiling point. It's crazy. But
it does feel like it.
Yeah.
I mean, when they went to Bologna and they jeered the entire team is one thing. When you single out a specific player, that's a whole other issue, especially when he's the only striker we have. I mean, we can't have him not performing or unable to play because he just can't handle the fans.
You know how I feel about the whole thing. This investigation will be key, because if they do find something like that, I mean, those guys just have to be removed, flat out, plain and simple. You just don't do that. But I'd love to see the club stand behind like our guys and just say, like, draw a line in the sand. Even if that didn't happen, even if it was Vlahovic that reacted without just a regular booing, whistling, jeering, draw a line in the sand. Just say, like, respect needs to go both ways, Props to Adam, who in our members chat showed us Lyon. I don't know if you saw the clip of the Lyon fans addressing their squad after the 4-1 defeat to PSG. The dude went and stole the microphone for the PA system across the entire stadium. I was like, okay, that's aggressive. But everything he said you could tell was from the heart, passionate, and respectful. No player raised a fuss. They all literally stood there, and he had everyone's full attention because of the words he said, and he didn't talk down to them. He literally just said, you guys need to understand you're at Lyon. There's players that came before you that glorified the jersey and showed everything that we expect to see in the players that are wearing it. And right now, we don't feel like we are getting that. That determination, that fight, that whatever. It was very just genuine and respectful. Never talking down to them at all. There's ways to go about it. You guys know where I stand with the ultras and whatnot. And I just feel there's this sense of entitlement. Almost like they feel like they're part of the office, for God's sakes. You got to draw a line. You have to create that. You don't need to get rid of them all, because that was extreme, but they also played their part in that. You got to draw a line in the sand. And to be honest, I don't like this we're in when it suits us thing that has been there for those guys over the past couple of years. Because when the stadium was dead and everything, and you were going there, you were trying to prove a point, and you were intimidating others into silence and remaining silent at those games. So, yeah, I'm just gonna I stand firm there, but we're gonna end it there on that. We all expected the club to do something. Douglas Luiz, is this the NBA? We got workload management now. We got Kawhi Leonard on the roster here. What exactly is happening? So we get the news yesterday. He is out for today's game. Today it is reinforced and confirmed. He is out. And apparently it's because he did actually suffer some discomfort after the last cameo. It's wild. Like I said, I had mixed feelings when I heard this, because it was like, right now, the benefit for the group is to have guys around and not going down for long periods of time and everything. But it's a very difficult thing. And I do believe that one size fits all training, recovery programs, all that doesn't necessarily work. But why I'm on the fence is because there's a really fine line to doing that and maintaining like standards across the club and not making it seem like a prima donna type setup. So it's a very difficult thing to kind of hone in on and not have other players feeling a certain way about it. It can be accomplished. Maybe do it with multiple. I don't know. You try to mask it with using multiple players in similar programs, so it's not just one guy. But ultimately, today, the news is he has suffered a little bit of a setback again. This guy was missing 6 days in 21-22. And before that, didn't have an injury until like going back to 2018. There's something going on there that we don't know about physically with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is something going on more than we've heard about since day one. And now I'm convinced of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, there are, let's say, 3 questions without answers in the world. Like, what happens when you die? Are there life on other planets? And what the hell goes on at J Medical? Because I have yet to get an answer that just simplifies it or sheds some light on this phenomenon. It's been going on for, I don't know what, 4 years that we've suffered injuries consistently more than anyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, other teams have it here and there, one season where they just get hit by tons of injuries. It happens. But when it's year in, year out, I don't know what they're doing. I have no answers. Douglas Luiz, I mean, it's a mystery. A guy who came from the Premier League where the intensity is high and the way they play, I mean, that's a good place for injuries. Yeah. And he sustained, went through all of that. Like you said, 6 days of injuries, and suddenly he can play for 3 months at the beginning of the season.
Like you can't make a
truly have no
25-minute cameo without having to go back on the shelf? Like a 25-minute cameo? What? It's wild. Mark Jacobson tweeted on our news post about it. Remember those old stories about Vinovo ground construction was flawed and caused a lot of injuries? Beginning to think that Continasa is built by idiots. This can't be normal. So everyone's just like baffled. Paulo, like, let's talk about load management for a second and like your thoughts on that if that was the case. And of course, now we know that, you know, he has suffered a setback. But before that, it was talking about and this is in theory precautionary. They don't want it to get worse. They don't want anything more happen. So they've removed him from squad list for today. They're monitoring. He's going to be on a specific recovery program. But what would your thoughts be in theory on like a load management setup for players right now when we're kind of like at an injury crisis?
You got to have a deeper bench, whether it's the issue with the fans, whether it's injuries, whether it's having a short bench. They need somebody at this club to be the face of the club and address all these issues, because Giuntoli is kind of doing his thing, and I don't know who is covering all the bases when he's off doing his things. As far as management of your workload goes, I think it's important for players. You need to have enough depth that you can let guys ride the pine or take a day off or adjust their training and do special training on the side, whatever it is, and not have it impact your results and not have it be news. So there's problems at the top, or the way they're organizing and managing issues with the club. Obviously, I think I heard that they did kind of an overhaul of J Medical last year. So I've heard a lot of the staff there are new. I don't know if that's true or not. But as far as work management goes, if you have a strong, deep roster, you don't think about that every day, and it's not the top of your news line.
Yeah, it's
and it's the same with Cambiasso now. Like we started from just a minor setback. He might make it to the City game, maybe on the bench, and now he won't make it to Cagliari. Now he won't make it to Monza. Same as happened with Nico.
Yep. Same that's happened with a lot of guys. It's a black hole. It's turning into a black hole, J-Med. Burn it down. Burn it down, all right? This is insane.
Outsource to Atalanta.
It's crazy. It's crazy. We're going to keep it rolling because there's so much still to talk about. Nico Schira coming out stating that Juve is 100% pushing for this move, starting off with a loan, and it does not stop anything for Henko. So now this is from Schira. Remember, before Schira posted that, a couple weeks ago, Di Marzio stated that an agreement was in place between Juventus and Benfica, and it will start with a loan. That was for Silva. So let's wait and see. With Henko, he's got a hefty price on there. Still unsure with this price. We're going to have to sell. All eyes on Fagioli. Xerxes, Juve at the window still, but with the big if he's even moving, which nobody sees that happening in January, okay? McKennie renewal. This one came out of the blue. So yesterday, we hear that Juve's working on the renewal of McKennie. His current contract that we just signed him for ends in 2026. And now looking to renew. That'll probably come with a pay boost as well. Is it a bit scattered from management to go from where we were in the summer, the heavy push and everything, and now all of a sudden it's like quick to jump on this renewal for a player? Like, it's crazy to think of how hard the club pushed in the summer, and then you end up going back even after your coach comes out and says the guys that are not part of this project have been told, and we knew who those guys were, and then they flip. And all of a sudden he's back. They get it at terms that they want, so that's cool. And now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, we're gonna renew. It's just, is it scattered? Does it feel scattered from management? Like maybe they're freewheeling a bit?
I don't think so. I think it's something Motta specifically asked for. After the way he performed some of the matches this season and left the summer behind them, my guess is that he impressed Motta enough, and Motta said, yeah. Like, management probably asked him, we need to solve this. What do you want to do? And he wanted to keep McKennie. That's the logical explanation I'm thinking of. But I don't know. It could be just scattered. Got nothing to go by.
From the outside, it just looks a little bit scattered because, I mean, Juntoli was around last season. McKennie was popping assists left, right, and center. Didn't bag any goals, but he was playing a role that isn't his natural role, and he was doing a hell of a job. So it's like you still went in and you pushed and pushed and pushed, and your coach came out and backed and said, yeah, the guys that are out are out. So now all of a sudden, it's funny from Juntoli because yeah, you get to this point, it feels nothing that I'm saying is really in regards to McKennie because he's been a solid squad player. So I gotta say that from right now, like nothing of what I'm saying is discrediting what he's done in any way, shape, or form. It just from a management perspective, I think it's something that's gonna kind of linger in the back of my mind as to what exactly is, the thought process. Are they consistent? Do they seem kind of... And I'm going to tie this in with what you guys have been hearing from me for a while now with this just adamant reluctance to not find a free agent and go through an injury crisis the way we have and not look at guys come back on loan. I kind of put this in there as to what exactly is he thinking? Like, what's the thought process here? So that's all. Paolo, your thoughts on this whole McKennie renewal out of the blue?
I think everything changes day by day depending on who feels like what. In the summer, Juntoli came in, Wild West, my way or the highway, let's go, get a bunch of guys out, sell them, bring guys in, everybody shut up, let me cook, let me do my thing. McKennie, you're gone. It was really reckless. There's no management. Like the leadership from management hasn't appeared yet. It's never been here, and situations keep popping up where they keep making a mess of it. So whether it's leadership, management, whether it's PR, whether it's relations with fans, they can't get anything right. And anybody who loves his team or knows his team probably felt at least that unless you got a great price from Villa on McKennie, he was always a hard worker. He would always give you everything he had. Coming on with like 20 minutes, 30, 40 minutes left in a game, he would be out there working his butt off. He could produce a bit of magic here and there. He's good personality in the locker room. He was a great value. And what they should have done is, hey, the Aston Villa deal didn't go through. McKennie really wants to do the club. We're going to see what we can work out. But they didn't. They said, oh, we're going to do what we got to do. It's our way or the highway. We don't need him. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, we might need him. Oh, yeah, he's not too bad. Oh, yeah, maybe we'll give him maybe we'll keep him. And that back and forth isn't great for players or fans because it's hard to trust when everything is so indecisive and suspicious. And if I'm McKennie, I'm like, I told you guys that I want to stay here and that I was gonna and that I wasn't asking for the world. Yeah. And now they're agreeing that they could use him and they need him, and it's just a mess.
It's weird. It's super, super weird. And like in the summer, you could think back and you could be like, well, yeah, we need the capital. You've got to fund the rest of your Mercado, and he had interest. McKennie's always had interested clubs. He didn't like some of them because some of them were Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, etc. He didn't want to go there. But he had interest. And then with Villa, it was like, okay, it's a good move. And it seems to be, like you pointed out, like we were getting fed that it's our way or the highway. Like if you're out, you're out. And the whole time we were asking, like, how hard are they going to push? Are they like icing guys out? Like, are they freezing guys out and not going to actually play them, use them, etc.? Like, to what degree is this my way or the highway? But it's a bit bizarre, and you're spot on because it's these types of things. Like I said, I'm going to put it in the back of my mind because it does affect ultimately the trust. Like if you seem scattered to me, it starts to affect the trust that I have in you, that everything we're doing isn't sloppy. Just freewheeling. And
but there are
what vibes, trends, like flavor of the week type management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think there are two factors that changed in that time. One is the money. I think it was a money issue in the summer.
Money definitely changed.
Yeah, he wanted a certain salary. Juntoli was having none of it, and now maybe he buckled down a bit, and came closer to what Juve were willing to pay. The second thing is the injuries. When you get to this point of the season with the amount of injuries we have, you can't afford to not have a player like McKennie who can fill in for multiple roles. We don't have another guy like that in the team. Now, when they looked at the squad back in the summer, I guess they didn't imagine this amount of injuries. Said, yeah, we don't need another midfielder. We already have like 5 or 6 or whatever. It was before Miretti was sold, and things changed. Nicolosi was still here. But the way things unfolded kind of made them think that maybe you need someone like McKennie to fill in, because we have no fullbacks right now, basically. McKennie is
And
like the only sub for right back.
and McKennie had a disastrous loan spell with Leeds.
Yeah.
That did not
Absolutely.
go well. So he might just not feel good about going back to the island just yet. And
The other thing is Giuntoli might just try and extend the contract so that he can actually get something and still try to sell him in the summer, because he doesn't want to go in on a final contract year where somebody could pick him up free, because it is essentially only going to end in June of 26. So after this year, he goes that. Wouldn't that be some shit? Let's wait and see. Now,
he doesn't look like the kind of guy who will admit when he's wrong, Giuntoli. So
yeah, and that's why I kind of said, like, and it's a perfect segue into what we're about to discuss, because yesterday you had the majority of the outlets posting total faith in Motta, and that the feeling around Juventus is total faith in Motta. The aim is top 4. If he does not achieve that, he still will be confirmed as the coach going into next season. There was only about 2 outlets that actually said if he does not reach top 4, he will be gone. One of them was Tuttosport, based out of Turin, but for an outlet based out of Turin, Tuttosport's just got a lot of work to do, lads. Got a lot of work to do, lads. We know about Tuttosport. But I got to ask you guys, and we've been talking about this a lot lately, but like total faith in Motta? I'm not there right now.
I'm there.
Really?
Yeah, I'm absolutely there. I still think it's early, and there are tons of mistakes that needs to be fixed and things that need to be addressed regarding the team, the fans, the injuries, all the problems we had. But I don't think letting him go right now would benefit Juve in any way. I said 2 years minimum, see where that leads us. Even if we finish out of the top 4, which will be like unheard of, but still, it's a project, and I wouldn't cut the project.
I have to clear the air here, okay? Nobody is saying get rid of him right now.
No, by the end of the season.
You have to. I'm telling you, total faith doesn't mean, as you know, we see the comments here, I fully support him. Support he has. Support he has because we support Juventus. And we need everybody at Juventus to succeed, to thrive. Support is not in question. If you're using the term total faith, that's in line with trust. That's it. Like for me, again, I'm not at this point where total faith to go beyond. I need to see way more. Like now, it's mid-December. You're talking about the same problems we've had for months. Total faith? No. But he's got 2 things in his pocket right now. Time and a hell of a lot of football. But make no mistake about it. If you want to talk about total faith? No, I need to see more if we're talking total faith. You can miss out on top 4. I still think that's dog shit with this squad. If you don't get top 4, I'm going to be 100% honest. That's dog shit. But you could still miss out of it, and we can continue with you. but it would have to be night and day to what we've been getting consistently on the pitch for a while now. Has to be night and day for the end of the season.
Absolutely. There's no question. He needs to improve. Let's do a hypothetical. Let's say he finishes fifth, okay? But he wins the Coppa and he makes it to the Champions League quarterfinals. And let's add the Super Coppa, because why the hell not? Are you keeping him?
It really, really depends. If you're able to, like the Coppa, I'm going to be honest, like we got a nice bracket and stuff. I'm expecting a good, healthy run there. Like just naturally.
I'm expecting a win.
It's not like, and this is why I got into it with the whole Giuntoli thing. It's because the aim is kind of where you should be anyways. So like pulling the Coppa Italia is not really anything crazy. We get to round 16 in Champions League. It's like, okay, we probably should be getting there too, unless something crazy happens. And not even that crazy, but you got a big new project. In league, in domestic, top four, without getting top four here, the people that are saying 200 million is nothing in this day and age, whatever, for Juve, that's a hell of a lot of money to fork over in the summer. And if you're telling me that that's not good enough to get into top four while you have a couple teams going through major changes, also coaching changes that are outperforming you on a weekly basis and are higher than you in the standings that could potentially take those spots from you, it's all going to end up being noise to me.
I think it's semantics. Like the choice of words is poor. Total faith means a whole lot in what I'm expecting.
Well, that's exactly it, but that's what the whole thing is. I had to laugh. I'm like, total faith based on what? And Ori's right here. What do you base total faith on? I'm saying the same thing. You can't make this call now. You're saying that Juve has total faith now. What? No, they probably believe in him. That's totally different. You could believe in a guy. I believe he'll come good. Okay, but total faith? No. Terrible choice of words. Paulo, total faith? You got total faith?
No. And I don't, because he's not winning. His job is to get something out of these players every game. He's not. Now, I think there's enough quality in a depleted roster to pull out more wins and try different things and find ways. And I don't think I've seen that yet. I'm not Motta out. I'm not giving up on him. I think 100%. He's got a lot of quality. But the two things really bug me about this whole situation. Number one is we're not winning, and the way we're not winning. And the second thing that's bugging me is a club like Juve should always try and get the best in class, right? The best on the market. For whatever reason, whether they're young and they are the future of soccer and that's the manager you bring in, is it Motta? Maybe. Or you get an Ancelotti or somebody, not necessarily a Conte, but an Ancelotti or someone who you think, we want to start winning big and we want to start winning now. Here's the money. Here's the manager. Let's go. We don't have a third gear or a second gear. We got to be in fifth and fourth and fifth gear all the time. So come the back end of the season, if he's winning and we're not failing in these different competitions, I'll feel a lot better and I'll look forward to next year and see where this can go. But I've seen a lot of ties and consistently poor performances and players who don't look convincing in what they're doing when they're on the field. That's him. Yeah. So I don't have total faith in what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Vidad's kind of, I would say that throughout this period, he was devastated with injuries. He's not maximizing from what he has at the moment. And I agree with that. I would say we need to pump the brakes in training. We don't have the exact details as to what exactly is going on there in training, but I said it all along. You got to make adjustments. Like the injury crisis is one thing. And when you're not willing to back anybody up through free agency even and get like an experienced player, as there were 3 or 4 in there, then I really don't want to hear it. And that's the truth of it. I'm just being straight up. Like, if you're not willing to look at you've got a team that we're fed over and over and over, and we know where the financials are, that they're struggling financially, and then you hit an injury crisis, and you're essentially completely unwilling to look at free agency, which makes the most sense during an international break when your crisis hits, that a guy could have been integrated for a week and a half before ever even being on the squad list, then I don't really want to fucking hear it. It's just tough to stomach. Like, if there's alternatives there that we are unwilling to even think about for a second, then it all just becomes noise. So you guys kind of put yourself in that situation. Hey, if it's a hole, dig yourself out of it. The bottom line is the play, and the injuries do not affect what you're trying to do on the pitch. And any player, any group of players that you have on the pitch, no matter the quality, you need to establish your game. I need to see your game coming through and what your clear ideas, definitive plans are. It's not coming through.
I heard his training was intense. That's what I've heard so far from different places. His training is very intense. At Spezia, Bologna, I can understand if he's got these younger teams firing at 120% for 90 minutes to push and push and push their opponent into a place where they can take advantage. So if our roster is unable to keep up with what he wants or needs, or the players are not his, and I said this before, if the players are not his, which I don't think is the case,
you can't keep
then he doesn't have the right players. If they're not doing what he's asking them to execute, and after game after game, they're not executing.
If his training regimen is that intense, Paulo, you can't keep it at that level with all these injuries. Like,
no,
but is it the first time?
And that's what we can't speak to.
But is it the players then? Is it the players?
Yeah, like, I don't know. But all I'm going to say is this. He's got time and a hell of a lot of football, and he's got the benefit that nobody's really pulled away yet. Mm-hmm. He's got all these things on his side right now. However, December was to be the month where we really racked up points, and it hasn't happened, and that's a problem because January is going to be difficult. Now we get to the question, because some are saying that this is just a simple case of, and we heard McKennie speak to it in an interview, this is a team that just simply plays down to the level of the opponent. Do you agree or disagree with that statement? Do you think that's exactly all that we're seeing?
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
not so sure.
I feel like that's been the case for a long time, that we can't assert dominance over smaller teams, and like we've just seen. I mean, that's the best example. You can beat City 2-0. Broken as they are, they still have some phenomenal players, and those players did start against Juve. And then you barely scrape a draw with Venezia, last place Venezia. And honestly, I have no answer to why it's happening. There are tons of tactical issues. I don't even, you know what, I don't blame the training that much. Because we've heard from Pirlo back in the Conte days that they used to puke after each session because it was too intense. And then Evra talking about what a job it was to actually work at Juve and train at Juve. I mean, it's nothing new. Juve players have been subjected to heavy trainings all of their lives. Something else is wrong. And honestly, I can't put my finger on why. I mean, the common denominator is J Medical for more than 3 seasons now. Now, tactically, there are other issues. Tactically, yeah, that's absolutely on Motta. There are things he needs to change depending on the game, but what he's doing right now isn't working. And I don't know why. I hope we'll see something different today. I want to see if that's the case.
Let's take a little peek, because it does look quite a bit different. If this is what we're gonna get here, you can see Perin in goal. Savona, although there was rumors that Savona was going to be the one kept out and McKennie would go to right back, Danilo would remain as left back, and then you've got Kalulu, Locatelli as a center back, Cope Miners, Thuram, and then across the front there, Conceição, Yildiz, Imbangula, with Vlahovic leading the line. Um, wow. You go.
Well, first of all, Alex P finally gets his Luca as center back. He's been calling that for 3 years. So,
Yeah.
cheers. I hope it works out well. To be honest, I highly doubt that's exactly what we see. I don't think we'll see McKennie at left back. I think Danilo will play there. And the rest is interesting. What can I say?
I
The rest
mean,
looks good.
immediately, it's like Yildiz centrally in that role. Coat Miners dropping back. Great. Locatelli, I mean, I think he could do the job as a center back, no problem. If you're doing a high line, I think you'll get into the same problems Danilo has, where he doesn't have the pace. But in this game, shouldn't be an issue because, let's be honest, we should be controlling a hell of a lot of ball in this game. I do think it's going to be Danilo on the left and McKennie as a right back and resting Savona, although that even seems weird to me because I feel like Danilo would be. I like Savona just seems fine to go and go and go. Young, fresh legs. Like Danilo might be the one that's getting the rest. Are you going to play McKennie and Locatelli on the same side of a defensive line? Not doing that for a while. Probably say break it up a bit and go Locatelli on Savona's side and Kalulu over there. I don't know. It's something different. And the main things that you're trying, I get it at the back line because you have literally Gatti, Kalulu, Danilo, and Savona as defenders in this squad list today. The same as we did the match before. So you really, like, that's it. One of Gatti and Kalulu has to get a rest this game. I think we can all agree on that. One of them has to be rested. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the outsides, I'm fine if you pick Danilo or you pick Savona. I probably would still keep Savona out there. And McKennie going back to a fullback role, he did it as a wing back, like when we played 3-5-2. So in a back four, quite a bit different. But I think he'd still be fine. The big things here are you're trying Yildiz that should hopefully unlock a lot. And you're not really scrapping three midfielders. You're using one as a center back. You got another one as fullback. So you're not really getting away from this protection with these midfielders. Motta gets to keep his security blanket in that sense. But I like the rest and give it a go. Give it a go. The big thing here is that it's Cagliari, it's in Coppa. You still got to get out there, get the job done, and win. But people are treating like, oh, it's nothing, it's experiment. The biggest thing here is you're trying something that should have been tried ultimately before. But let's see where the level is. You got to find a way to bring that level against these sides and not drop off. That's the big thing in this game, even bigger than some of this. But Cope Miners coming back,
That's
clear
huge
definitive role.
Mhm.
You should have a clear definitive role here.
I thought he was almost playing as a striker for Juve. And by that, I mean way too high with his back to goal. And that's not where I want him. I want Coop with his face to goal, distributing the play. And the way he was used, he wasn't doing that. He was playing almost as a second striker, barely creating, barely participating in the build-up. It was too easy to mark him out. I think that way, with Yildiz, who can dribble past his man with speed and technique, that can be a lot easier for a guy like Vlahovic, who clears areas, and I want Coop Miners distributing from midfield.
Yeah.
Let's see if it works out.
Cope Miners is at his best when he's kind of trailing and coming later in and then finding like the top of the area and whatever and having some hits from there. This should help him achieve that. Paulo, what do you think about this? And I believe you need to roll after this, right?
No, I've got a bit more time for sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Sure. I think we'll see what the lineup actually is. I think this is interesting. Coop's a really bright guy, and I think he's under an immense amount of pressure, and I think a lot of that pressure he puts on himself. We haven't spent enough time moving the ball right through the middle, down the spine to the other side of the field this year. Coop Miners tends to run to wherever he thinks he needs to be to help make something happen in his desperate effort to try and generate something. So what I like is Yildiz being in the middle at the top, and maybe that will help Coop stay a little more central and not have to drift out to the edges where everything gets lost. So
Yeah.
interesting. We'll see. Interesting.
We will see. We will see. There's a couple key elements into this one, obviously highlighted by Yildiz and Colt Miners. Hopefully it looks much, much better than what we've been getting. And then, of course, you got to follow it up. So Monza on the weekend. Hopefully this goes well and sparks some positive changes. And again, this game, like we got to find that attitude. You got to find that attitude from the get-go, but you can't drop off. Like, and again, it is a problem. It is a problem.
That's a do or die, man. That's a do or die. It's one-off game, and we lose and we drop the ball here. We're out of the Coppa. We can't allow that.
And this is why it's actually big. Like, people are kind of focusing the emphasis on these changes and saying that, well, yeah, this is the game to try and kind of downplaying it. Well, no, like, this would be adding catastrophe to what's kind of been going on in a month of December, which was an easy section of the schedule that we needed to ramp up some points. If you bow out here, this pressure cooker that's on right now just gets the dial turned to like high, full blast. Like, this is big. And what I'm hoping is that the fact that this is a one-off match like knockout is that it does help with that attitude and approach and keeping them at a level that was out there for the City game. Is like, it's do or die. And they need to channel that and then make sure they bring it at the weekend against Monza. So this game today, people want to talk about Coppa Italia not being significant, anything. Like, this is actually big. I would say this is a big, big game for Motta and Juve right now under these circumstances.
That's exactly it. It's under these circumstances that we've got.
Yes.
If we were killing it in the league, first, second place, and we dropped out, it wouldn't be like the end of the world. Inter dropped out against Bologna in the same round last season and basically left them some more room to breathe between matches. But because of the situation we're in and the way that the mentality feels right now in the team, we need that win. A loss here could go a long way in damaging our season.
Just saying, leaving Coppa early could be a blessing. Less games on a shallow squad. I don't feel that way because of the fact that these are knockout games. Keep them in your schedule. Keep them in your lineup, because if you have a team that's got zero consistency in finding that attitude and approach in these league games, and you take these type of games out of it, you're really going to struggle to harness it consistently. Keep it going.
It could be that Coppa and Champions League might be two of our redeeming endeavors this season, because I'm a bit anxious about the Serie A table. But
I'm a little nervous.
This is our biggest game of the year so far, arguably. And if you stay in the Champions League, you stay in the Coppa, I think you got something to hold on to and to own and build on. So I think it could be very valuable.
And the big positive is there has to be a winner today. So at least we won't see a draw, everybody. All right. So there's that. Okay. That's a big positive. We're going to take a little look. Cagliari is one of the games that just stings me from earlier in the season. And it was a different feeling around Juve the first time we played them, because it was still early on, and it was like, you know what? We should have buried them. We should have killed them. We played good enough to do so, but it was like you give them that pass because it was so early. It was like, yeah, you know what? We got to gel. We got to click. It's okay. Coughed up a bad moment at the back, and they find their equalizer. It's tough. It was frustrating, but growing pains because it's early. Now it's like, no, you're mid-December. This needs to be a victory. You need to, impose yourself on this team and get the job done. You're at home as well. Yeah, it's got to happen. You've made the changes, adjustments in the lineup that really everyone thinks needs to happen. Hopefully it goes smoothly. But even beyond that, even just with getting Yildiz central, even just with dropping Colt Miners back, get these wingers Stop gluing them to the outsides. Like, move everybody narrow towards goal. Like, get numbers in the area. Create problems for them. And just make it a nightmare for that team. And pin them back. Hold pressure. And for God's sakes, when you get to the edge of the area, please do not turn around and send it back to Perin or Di Gregorio. Okay? For the love of God, please. None of that today. Okay, so
that's the thing with low blocks, right? That's the way to solve it. You gotta not give them time to organize and stand where they want and cover where they want. Look at the way Liverpool are playing. They're just pumping balls into the area. And sometimes the rebound falls to a Liverpool player and the defense doesn't have time to adjust. And they're all committed to it. They're all going in. They're all closing out the lane so it won't go to a corner attack. And I think that's the way Juve should go. Get as many balls as you can into the area to disorganize them. Yeah. It's so easy to defend against Juve the way we play right now with the low block.
Yeah.
No room to breathe.
Time to wrap it up.
That's a great point, Omar, because you have to be willing to risk a certain amount of something to get something. And we haven't risked enough to reap any rewards.
Okay. Cagliari, struggling since the start of the season, find themselves in 18th. Okay, they've lost their last 3 games coming into this. Nicola doesn't have any to worry about, as Luvumbo is the only player whose availability is still just doubtful. So he's got everybody he's going to need. As far as what he's expected to do is a 3-4-1-2. So that dreaded low block will be there, everybody. Okay, so it's time to... I saw the comment earlier from Skippy just simply saying, you know what? Those damn low blocks are our kryptonite. It's time to break that, okay? Hopefully Yildiz can be key. I think he will. Give him that role. Give him freedom, and let him work in the half spaces. It should open things up for Vlahovic. Even for Cope Miners to come in as a trailer should open things up for him. Should open things up for the fullbacks. Should open everything up because he can beat that first man, sometimes that second man, and then the defense has to react and you're asking questions. And from there, space will open up and openings will be there. So hopefully pans out for them. 3-4-1-2, scuff it. Witesca, Palomino, Obert, Adzi, Diola, Marin, Felici, Viola, Lapadula, and Pavoletti is what's expected. We went through our starting lineup. A lot of changes. Motta, is he on tilt? Is he going crazy? Is he Coppa crazy? Look, I think this lineup, we could make sense of it all around in terms of the rotations, in terms of Coppa, in terms of the opponent, but you're still getting key elements that we need to see. It's time to go through some key stats, drop our predictions, and then we're going to go back in time for this fixture, okay? Juve and Cagliari have faced each other 96 times across many different competitions. How many wins does La Vecchia Signora carry in those 96 matches? Any guesses? Paolo? Omer? Take a stab at it?
70.
I'd go with... It was close, like 65.
49.
Wow.
49 wins for Juve
bad.
out of 96 there, okay?
Really
a lot of draws in there because only 15 are going Cagliari's way, okay?
Okay, so let's say we go to penalties because we have a lot of draws with Cagliari and we had a lot of draws this season. Who's your first and who's your last? Okay, where do you put Dusan? First or last?
For what, Scary? I missed that?
Penalty kicks.
First.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if it goes to kicks, where do you put Dusan right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll step up first. Cope Miners, I'd go second. I'd go with those two right off the hop, and I'm fine if you go Cope first and then Dusan. Those two are my first 2 shooters.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
where
who's
would
your
you
last?
put Dusan?
I think I'd put him first. I think the first shot is super important.
And plus, with everything going on, I don't want him to go later on. Like, get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. Don't let that build up for the guy. Like, just first or second.
I would put Cope Miners last.
Cope last actually isn't a bad shout, but let's just, I don't know. Those guys.
Hopefully,
Who
we
else
won't
are
make
shooting?
it to that point.
Yildiz got to take one.
Yeah, I would put Yildiz
Assuming he
last.
stays. Yeah, but that's assuming all those guys stay on the pitch.
Oh, yeah. Staying on. Mbangula can take one. Frickin' Chico could take one. Locatelli can.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. No. Loca can't take a. He can, but I mean, no. He's
one,
missed his last
yeah.
two in general. So I
In
probably
the
wouldn't go
Euros.
that route.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nico comes in, he could take one. He'll probably be in at around that time. I'd expect Nico
Yeah.
Gonzalez in there. Douglas Luiz, he could. Oh, never mind. Let's get the key stats and then we'll hit the predictions, everybody. Juve and Cagliari. So we talked about how many times they faced. Juve unbeaten in their last 7 against Cagliari. 5 wins, 2 draws. Last meeting we know was 1-1 back in October. Cagliari winless in their last 5 away games, having lost 3. And man, we haven't lost a Coppa match at home in a very long time. Let's keep it that way, okay? Final score, 2 tiebreakers. It's prediction time. Paolo, why don't you do the honors and kick us off with your prediction? Final score, 2 tiebreakers.
Well, I should be picking a tie, obviously. I mean, that's all we do. But I'm going to try something different because if Motta really does change things, if he really does put Yildiz right in the middle at the top there, if he tries something new, I think he solves the tie issue for today. So I'm going to say Yildiz is the game breaker, 3-0 Juve. And I think Yildiz gets 2 if he's in that spot. And I think Dusan gets a penalty. I think, and I'll throw in that Cagliari is going to pull somebody down in the box. So,
all right. All right. If you didn't catch it, FC25 simulation was 3-1 for Juve with a Dusan brace. And if you caught the video, it's kind of funny because Dusan went and celebrated with Jay the Zebra. And that probably is the only guy at the stadium that's going to want to celly with him. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But Omer, what do you got for final score and 2 tiebreakers?
I think I'd go with 2-0. Juve rarely do bad in the first Coppa match. Very rarely. Yeah, I'll go 2-0. Goal scorers. Yildiz gets 1. Yildiz gets 2.
Okay, Yildiz brace.
Yeah. And
You and Paolo on the Yildiz brace.
oh, Paulo's with a Yildiz brace too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
if he plays in that spot, he has to play in that spot.
Better to celebrate with Jay the Zebra than Jay Medical. Yeah, that's true. Ain't that the truth?
Well, now I know I made the right choice. So, yeah, and another tiebreaker. Let's go with the 50-50 one. Juve start the match. Juve win the coin toss.
All right. Nice
Well, that's
little
not exactly the
prop.
same,
Nice
but
little
Juve-
prop pick there. Okay,
Yeah.
well, the prop pick. We were way better in Coppa last year than we were in.
We're very good in coin tosses. That I can definitely tell you.
We're very, very good in Coppa last season. Hopefully that sparks something. You know, we wanted that to cross over last year. Let's see. Let's get the strong Coppa showing today that we can carry on and get some damn wins here. I'm gonna go. Two-one. I think we'll get the job done. I think it'll 2-1. I think we'll see some things we like, but I think there'll be some normal frustrations. I think there's a lot of change too in where guys are playing that might affect them, and Cagliari might get find something stupid here or there with our changes. If that is in fact how heavy we go in changes, they find something. But I think we see some positives today in the changes we're making and something that we could definitely build upon and ultimately get the job done. I'm going to go 2-1, but I'm going to be praying and hoping that I'm completely wrong and we absolutely destroy them to the tune of some of your predictions out there, everybody. 5-0, 4-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, 11-0. Come on. I hope I'm wrong, all right? And let's
More
get after
chances
it.
of,
There is a watch-along in
6-6.
effect, everybody. We have Storm the Barn. Paolo, whenever you got to go, just let us know. And we're going to keep things rocking. But we are going to go back in time, everybody. We're going to go back in time for Juve Cagliari, December 11th. And this was 2005. All right, look at that there. Trez Nedved. Chiellini with the hair. A much younger Chiellini with the hair there. And then Trez celebrating. Who's next to him there, eh?
I can tell you. I think I know who that guy is.
Fire away.
I think it's Giuliano Giannicheda.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
You're good.
And
Yeah, he's a
no, it
legend
wasn't
in,
Mutu. It wasn't Mutu, George, but Mutu was a part of this game. Adrian Mutu was a part of this game. Omer, nice pull, buddy. Nice pull.
Well, he's a Pro Evolution 6 legend, so yeah. Remember him.
Remember do you know the scoreline of this game?
I don't completely remember. I think I remember a high scoring game, like 5 or 6 goals, something crazy, but I'm not sure it's the same season I'm talking about.
Yeah. Paolo, any guesses on the scoreline?
No.
4-0 Juve. Any
4-0,
guesses on
yeah.
goal scores? I mean, we're looking at a Selly here. Looking at some Sellies.
Well, it seems like Trez and Nedved scored. Trez and Nedved, I think I'd go with Zlatan maybe with one.
Trez with the brace, Nedved with the goal, and we got an own goal in that one. This was the lineup. Nedved on the left, Mutu on the right, Ibrahimovic, Trezeguet, Vieira. There's Giannicheda, Chiellini, Cannavaro, Thuram, Zambrotta. My word, that back line there. Holy smokes, man. With a young Chiellini that was looking like a deer on ice sometimes at fullback, but still just a unit and tough to get around. Look at that.
Yeah. Look at Abbiati.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say, like, Abbiati.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, Buffon had a huge back injury early in the season, maybe even in preseason. They loaned him out, and they loaned him in from Milan. But there was a clause in the contract that he can't play against Milan. So we had to play Chimenti, and I think we lost like 3-0 to Milan in that game.
Yeah, this
I
team,
think it's the
man,
same season.
and like Capello and Champs, and oh my god, it was so infuriating, man. But Capello, Paulo, do you want to talk about Capello?
I like him. I think he's fantastic. That's all I got to say about Capello. Love him.
With us, though, oh man, what? I always wanted more. I always wanted more. That team was something, man. Now we got to go back to these kits. This is one of my favorite home kits ever.
Yeah, that's iconic.
It's unreal. Despite one of my favorites ever, despite what I think is one of the worst sponsors ever. I don't like the Tamoil sponsor. Never have, never will. But this kit is just unreal. Now, let's have some fun. If you could remove... So, Paolo, you seem to agree Tamoil was a brutal sponsor as far as the aesthetics go on the kits. Agreed? Yeah. You could take Tamoil off the kit. Which sponsor do you put on this kit that would look the best out of all the sponsors we had? You can handpick a sponsor to put on. Maybe it's one we didn't have. What would you drop on there?
Sony always looks good on a Juve jersey.
Sony on this one, splitting the stripes up to get Sony on there. Yeah, everybody's kind of going Sony. The Sky Sports one, we had Sky Sports like the year prior, and it was Tamoil in Champions League, so they were just getting in there. The Sky Sports one was all right. Ariston, that's a good shout to stop in there. Upim, where's the Danone shouts? A lot of Danone fans there for best sponsors there. Yeah, the Tamoil one always bugged me.
It's too
Even
big.
if you, man, slap the. I always loved the fast web.
Even if you
man.
just had the words across without that big circle, just the word across even would have been better.
Yeah, that would have actually been sick. But yeah, just give me fast web again. Fuck, I loved fast web. Give me fast web, and I'm good. I'm good. New Holland, the New Holland shouts. Bad memories, but decent looking kits. The home back then was solid. But yeah, what a team. What a backline there, man. Holy smokes. Ibrahimovic too up there with Trez. Del Piero starting from the bench there. Lot of talk around Del Piero and Capello and the team back then. And who knows? The question always comes up from time to time. Would Del Piero have stuck around? Some people question and say that because of Ibrahimovic, if we didn't drop down, that potentially Del Piero would have been gone. When I don't buy that for a second. George, storm the barn. We need to be done with the January market really early. The way this season has played out, we don't have room for another slip up. We are going to need a historic run if we want to achieve anything. Well, the good news is we got time and we got a lot of football, but he's got to start getting it right now. I do agree with you. The longer this thing goes on, the longer this beast kind of grows, right? Let's slay the beast today. Let's get it rolling. We need that. You need that turnaround, and we've had opportunities. We talked about it post-match with the latest draw against Venezia. You've had matches where you should be able to build upon and kind of take that next step. Yeah, we got to find that turning point, but actually go with it. We can't keep hitting these walls and these setbacks.
By the way, disclaimer.
Yes.
I'm not sure if the match today is 120 minutes or straight to penalties if it's a draw. I think it's in the knockout stages where you go to extra 30 minutes to extra time, but I'm not entirely sure if someone in the chat knows or remembers.
Yeah, we can even look it up here in a sec. Okay, so right here, Isaac, right away, straight to pens. I think it's further on where you get the extra time.
Yeah. I thought so too, but I wasn't sure.
Straight to pens. Man, a draw into pens. Whew. When will Cambiasso return to action after being sucked into the Bermuda Triangle? Oh my God, your guess is a good one. We might have to. Luca's tweet, by the way, was absolute gold in terms of the whole J Medical thing and all these guys that are getting sucked into the Bermuda Triangle and whatnot. What did he say? He had something that was just hilarious. Something to do with souls. And it essentially, J Medical needs to claim another soul in order to release one, basically. So I was dying. He had me in stitches. And in order to release a soul, it must gain another. So for Cambiasso to come out, there must be another soul sent. That's what it seems like. We'll see.
Can we choose the soul or... Just up to God.
He makes no claims on if we can choose.
Okay.
What do you honestly believe our squad is capable of on their best in terms of achievements this season? This is what infuriates me the most, because I actually do believe as far as personnel goes, it sucks with the injury to Bremer, but this is definitely a top 3 side that can fight close to the race easily with what we have. And even with injuries and stuff, like, look at the points we are dropping. Like, this is easily a squad that is capable of being in the top 3 and fighting in that race right now and being up there in that race. And the thing is that we're still, for where we're at, not that far off, but you've got to turn it around sometime. But we have a talented team. It's frustrating. And like, I remember Dells in one of the daily update videos putting, I do have faith in Motta, etc., because we're 2/3 of the way. I actually think we were 2/3 of the way, but I think as we haven't adjusted and corrected shortcomings, we're now like more like 1/3 of the way there now, as opposed to being 2/3 of the way at the beginning of the season. So a little bit more work to do. We got to regroup and get it going. But that's what infuriates me the most. I think we have everything to be top 3 and fighting in the top race there. That's just me.
Mm-hmm. Realistic. I think we can still pull off like 3rd place, maybe 2nd place. I don't think Scudetto is a question even anymore. Too many dropped points to win a Scudetto. Let's say Coppa Italia should be a win. I'm guessing we can win that. We have the Cagliari now. Next up is Empoli. And then the worst could be Atalanta, which is not good, but we do have a good record against them in Coppa Italia. And let's say quarterfinals, Champions League, depending on the draw, obviously, and where we end up in the top 8 or not. But I would say quarterfinals, winning Coppa, and finishing 3rd in the league.
Oh, right. Paolo, where are you at for realistically what you think this team is capable in terms of achievements?
Capable of the final for Coppa. I think we could go further in the Champions League. I think we could do quarters. I think the problem will be the Scudetto. I mean, we do play Fiorentina twice. We play Atalanta twice. We still got games against the 2 Milans. If we go on a roll, I think we're going to be somewhere around 4th or 5th towards the end of the season. And I think we're going to be trying to squeeze in that last 4th or 5th spot.
I want to revisit this question after January or middle of January, when that tough, daunting schedule, when I see us go. And you know what? That could be the turning month, maybe, because if this is in fact a team that just needs that type of situation, needs that type of moment, that type of heat, that type of intensity to bring its best out, then we're in for a beautiful month of January. But if it isn't,
but I feel the other way.
Exactly.
January is our worst month usually, where we drop points.
Well, that's the scary thing. So we'll know very realistically where things sit for us in the month of January, one way or another. So we see. Tuna steaks, over under. How many muscle spasms will Nico Gonzalez see in 5 minutes of rotation today? Oh my God.
1 each minute.
1 each minute? Oh my God. Nico. 1 each minute. Jeez. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, 2. So, jeez.
Oh, what a generous person you are.
I don't think he's going to be on the field, so...
I think you'll see like 10 minutes.
You don't think we see him today?
15.
We should, but...
I think we'll get like 10, 15 minutes.
What's the confidence level that there will be a turning point this season?
Very high. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother watching and coming on the podcast. I still expect the turnaround.
We will get opportunities, to turn it around. There will be moments. Now, how confident am I that we can carry forward? I think today will actually give me... I'm hoping to get a little bit more confidence if Motta does, in fact, pull the trigger with some of these changes. And if we see some good, strong, positive signs, that'll actually pick me up quite a bit in terms of confidence. And then it'll be the follow-through. So we'll get another opportunity for a turning point. On a scale of 1 to 10, that we turn it around and start rolling, I'm still 6.5 to 7 on until they kind of show me 6.5. I'd probably say is where I sit in confidence. Paolo, where are you at in confidence that we turn around, start going on a run for wins and whatnot?
I think, to George's point, I think if we get some help on defense in January, and we shore up the squad, I think I could be pushed to a 7 depending on what happens today. If Motta starts to really try things, I could get to a 7.
There you go.
Right now, I'm not, though. Right now, no.
By the way, someone mentioned in the comments earlier that Buongiorno is out for 40 days, so he might not be back for the Juve Napoli match, which is kind of a big blow for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, Buongiorno got a nasty injury in training there. with a vertebrae. So nasty injury. It's gonna be
But
out
it's
for a
not J
while.
Medical.
What's that?
But it's not J Medical. Like if you tell me a player from Juve is injured for 40 days, he's out for the season for me. Like
Yeah,
we'll
I
never
know.
see that guy again. But
I know.
with Napoli, it might be different.
Oh yeah, they probably had him in that garbage bin full of ice so fast over there. It's crazy. We'll see. Vidad, what would you like more under Motta? One Champions League and few cups, super cups, or 3 to 4 Scudetti and a few cups. I'd like it all. If I could.
Ah, I
If I'm
hate those
picking.
questions.
I know, like I want to like I just
I
want it
want
all. Like
everything.
if we're consistently winning trophies, albeit whatever the hell they are, oh my god, just give me that. Like let's get back to rolling along. But you give me a
One trophy a
Champions League,
season.
you give me a Champions League. Okay, okay.
Like I don't know if Forza Inter is here. Maybe he is. Maybe he can answer it. If you knew in advance that Inter are going to win that 2010 Champions League and then go on to have the banter they have, would you still do it? Because Inter fans told me absolutely nothing compares to what we had in 2010. And yeah, it was like if that's the option, it's worth it. So where do you stand?
Getting a treble?
Like winning a treble and then going on to like a 5 year banter era.
Oh, you know what?
What are we
I've
talking
seen,
about?
I've seen. I feel like we've lived a couple now. So give me that treble. Give me that treble. I'll deal with it for a
Yeah,
bit.
because I heard that like when they said they would go for it, I suddenly thought about it and I didn't know what my answer was. Really, is that how you feel? Like winning a Champions League, is it worth it? And they all like unanimously said yes.
Man, having seen that one in '96 and like how fucking far away that is now and stuff. Yeah, what are we talking about? I just gave my left nut away for a 2-0 against City. For what are we talking about here? Yeah, Champions League. Yes, please. Yes,
Thank you,
please.
thank you.
Winning the Coppa last year felt so good to win something, and the way we won it, that great goal by Dusan. So I would love to have a cup, and if it was a Champions League and nothing else, I'll take it. Absolutely, any
Yeah,
day.
absolutely. Guys, get the likes up. We're going to keep things rolling here. I think we got a couple more storm the barn. Do you agree that individual quality is getting worse as time goes on? Football today is much more centered around tactics and a system. Just compare the Azzurri with any previous version. Interesting question, and I'm curious to get your boys' thoughts.
Absolutely, absolutely. I fully agree. Individual quality is down, and I think a lot of players today can mask their technical deficiencies with being athletic. I think that's one of the common denominators for most wingers today. Great athleticism. Very few can actually beat their men one on one a few times in a match. I think a lot of players that thrived, between like let's say the 1980s to 2010s, wouldn't made it today just because they were not system players. And their talent and their uniqueness came in special moments when they saw something that no one else saw, and that's the way they unlocked matches. And going to like even only in Italy, Totti, Del Piero, even Pirlo, I don't think will be as effective and good today as he was back in his day because of the. And it's not to say that he's bad; it's to say that coaches won't use him the way he needs to be used,
Yeah.
He wouldn't
and
have had
that
the time or
like
space.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
Paul.
game is super different right now, and they made athleticism too important.
Paolo, where do you stand on this question? Great
Well, this
question,
might,
by the way, Forza
yeah,
Juve. I love this question. It's a great question.
I agree with Omar. Hard work outworks talent when talent doesn't work hard, and it takes a team and it takes a system and tactics and athleticism and depth to make it. And those individuals find it really hard to shine through systems and coaches and athleticism that is at a constant high.
Yeah. I think
Like a player like Leao wouldn't be, or he'll just be another good winger if he played like in the early 2010s or late 2000s with Robben and Ribery and all the amazing wingers we had back then. Leao would be another winger, another good winger.
Yeah,
but it
I
wouldn't be
think
talked about like they talk about him now.
everybody's gonna know kind of where I stand. I mean, yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, are we not kind of seeing that in our own club, in our own team, in our own setup? Like, I mean, how many times have I come out here and said, I don't care where you put Yildiz, get him on the lineup sheet, give him freedom. Give that kid freedom. When he's on the ball, he's beating guys left, right, and center. He can do it in tight spaces. He doesn't need the space. That's half the battle right there. This guy can work in tight and come out of those situations, and it opens up the game. You don't need to have him glued to a sideline where he's going to be facing double team, triple team against a low block. Today's the perfect example. Stay in that pocket. Find those pockets of space. Let's break the lines. With Cope Miners being behind, to break those lines makes perfect sense. Everything is set up here. I'm really going to have eyes on that today. But like players like that, you don't glue them to the sideline and stuff like that. There's games where against City where the space is there. Yeah, that makes sense. That gives them more space in a game like that. But against low blocks, just get him on a lineup sheet, give him freedom, let him find the pockets, let him dictate what happens, and let these guys express themselves. The system stuff, like all this, even Chico, for God's sake, like, let him cut. He doesn't need to be glued there when the ball's on the other side. Get your fullbacks up, like, move them around. Like, let these guys express themselves, but help them as well. Like, the guidance for me, way too rigid in our game. And you see that almost everywhere now. It is becoming this, just these systems. And I don't know, like, you watch a lot of games. It's not just us. You can watch a lot of games. You can watch a lot of teams, and it's just like, what the hell am I seeing? What the hell's going on here? It isn't just us, but there's a lot of teams that do play really, really good football. Really good football.
Gary Neville said when he first saw Del Piero come in off the side and move towards the middle towards him, he said that was the first time I looked at someone and had no idea what they were going to do. No idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Scared the pants off him. And I want to see Yildiz given that opportunity, to your point, in the middle.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting today. Which Serie A player would you snatch from teams from the bottom and which from the top in order to improve our squad? For me, Dennis Mann from Parma and Odegaard from Bologna. So players from the bottom and players from the top that you would snag to help us.
One from the bottom and one from
Dennis
the top.
Mann's a good shout. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't necessarily need, but Nico Paz is a good shout. Like, I like Nico Paz, but
That would have been my shout. I really like Nico Paz.
yeah,
From the top teams, well, just take your pick. But
can we put Dorgu in the
Yeah,
mix too? I think like Dorgu would be nice.
yeah, whatever. Thuram.
I'm thinking Paz. I'm thinking Dorgu. I'm thinking Retegi and Matt.
That's who I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Get him in there. Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm cool with those. We got DiMarco shouts there. You want to connect the brothers there, Omer, and get Marcus there with Kefren?
Yeah, I wanted Marcus long before. We even talked about him like in a
Dude,
podcast
I can't
in
tell you how many
2019.
times. How many times
Yeah.
I said the guy's free, make a push.
By the way,
Yeah.
Lookman was my choice to replace Chiesa. Said last season, if Chiesa leaves, I want you to go for Lookman. I think he's phenomenal.
And
I don't
unfortunately
think
now
he'll
for you,
stay.
Omar, we should never deal with Atalanta again. So I don't know.
I don't think he was coming to Juve anyway. I think he's leaving. He almost left this summer, and they convinced him to stay one more season. But I think
Yeah.
because he's
Alberto,
going
what
to
will
Juve
you
next
donate
season.
for the? Oh my God, what would I do for a Champions League win? Jeez.
What do you got left? You got one nut left. What else you got?
I got one knee left. I got one knee, one nut. Like, I'm running out of things here, people. We'd have to do something wild with the hair. I think I'm willing to sacrifice the hair. I got a ton of it. It's thick. Like, maybe we do a Champions League mohawk, or I don't know. I'd do something crazy with the hair. Okay, I'll do something crazy with the hair. Well, let's go with that. Let's go with that. You guys can decide. Okay, with the hair. Watched Lazio Inter. I hate Inter. Oh yeah, of course, preaching to the choir here, brother. What a team. As a level of football, we're not much far behind them. The only difference is consistency. Do you agree? What is missing? Okay, so immediately chemistry. Like they have established that obviously through the years. Like they know who they are. That's the biggest thing, right? We're still trying to figure ourselves out.
But there's an asterisk here. Inzaghi took some time as well, and he inherited a Scudetto winning team, and it took him a couple of years to get that all
But
working.
they didn't drop off. I mean, he was winning Coppas, Super Coppas. He was second in the league, I think.
He was doing that with Lazio as well. I mean,
it's not like there was this massive drop off or anything like that. They were still right there the entire time. And then,
because he inherited a Scudetto winning team. If Motta would have inherited a Scudetto winning team, my expectations would be different. But it was kind of set for him because he sort of plays the same way as Conte, like the 3-5-2. He just go to the team was already built for that. And he still had some issues. He couldn't make Lukaku work. And it took him 2 years, but they have done great. They have reached the Champions League final. They have won a Scudetto. They have won Coppa Italia. They had a project, and they were calling at times for Inzaghi to be sacked when they had bad runs. But the management stuck by him and ultimately worked out.
I said this after we played them. Like, I mean, and this is what, again, infuriates me with our results, especially the teams that we're dropping points to. But that's a team nearing the end of their cycle that is a well-oiled machine. You know, we hate to say it, obviously, because they're scumbags. But it's the truth. Like, that's a well-oiled machine. The roles are defined. The chemistry is there. And we are literally at the beginning. So the performance that we put forward against them, I was actually very, very happy. I wasn't happy with conceding 4. But I love the fact that we were able to create nightmares for them and give them a lot of problems and bagging 4 on them, having them in fits in their house. Like, I love it. And I love it that a player that we're trying to see if he can be one of these pillars for us moving forward, Yildiz, bagged 2 in it. 2 huge goals at the San Siro and everything. Like, we have a ton of positives. It's time for our coach to let those positives shine on a consistent basis. Like, we need to see this consistently, and it's time for the players to bring it consistently. Like,
on that note, Berto, I've got to run. I apologize. Mille grazie, tutti Juventi, and I'll see you all again. Have a great show today, guys. Watching the game, enjoy yourselves. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
An absolute pleasure. Ciao, ciao, Paulo. And then there were 2, and we got another storm in the barn, but yeah, you see my frustration, Omer, is because we are, like, I don't think we're that far. Like, we're ahead of this. We should be ahead of a plan of a, like, beginning of a project, and we were at the beginning of the season. It's kind of, it plateaued and then kind of regressed. It's like now we have several other things that we need to sort out. But that's what was missing for me, was Motta tweaking and trying to go that extra step. But now, as guys start to get fit and everything, he is going to run out of those last little bit of reasoning or logic as to why we can't see things consistently, right? So consistency is key.
Consistency has always been key.
Always.
Like, I don't know how you win titles without it. But yeah, we have an issue. I don't think our players are as bad as it looks, looking at the table and the results. But again, I've said it a couple of times, something isn't working. Motta has to find out what yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, I don't believe in a Scudetto, and some people here in the chat disagreed. Even if we do still have a chance at a Scudetto, a few more draws and that chance is gone.
Yeah.
So we're not far off. And if we do want to have that chance, we need to start piling up the wins instantly.
And this is why, like, I went on a little bit of a rant the last game because it was like, we should be more points higher. We should also potentially be a few points lower. I mean, you could make the argument both ways. The bottom line is we stand where we stand because it's what we deserve. And that's the problem I have, is that the majority of these games against lesser sides, we haven't deserved more than what we're getting, and that has to change immediately. So I hope they find the formula. I hope that it's a moment like today where it's do or die. And we were kind of feeling that way in City too. They put forth the proper game plan, but we said that. We said that game forces the game plan to Motta. So what's he going to dial up again today? Low block, but this is what I expect to see. I expect to see a lineup that, although you're makeshift at the back, it's geared offensively, definitely, as you've got, Mbangula out there. You've got Yildiz centrally, not a third midfielder. Colt Miner's dropping back. So it's like, okay, we're geared to actually get after it now. I'm curious to see Yildiz's interpretation of that role because so far, nobody's got it right. Nobody's got it right. Fagioli didn't get it right. Colt Miners has been doing everything. He's doing like 3 positions worth of work and running, for me, aimlessly because he shouldn't need to go left flank, right flank, all over the place. Like, no, if you're going to play the 10, play the 10. And that's on a coach. So today, I want to see it make sense. I want to see these pieces not just physically change the personnel, but I want to see ideas. I want to see patterns. Like, I want to see it start to mean something. We need to find that link, and maybe it's Yildiz that opens up some chemistry across the board. Because so far, the links that have been attempted have not opened up the chemistry and gelled. So that's what we really need. You need to find something that starts to move that needle.
Yeah, if there's something we can surmise out of everything that happened until now, is that the smaller teams has our number. They know how to shut us down. They know how to make it harder and harder for us to get into the area. And that's something that needs to be tweaked. How? Maybe Yildiz is the answer. Maybe Milik is the answer. I have no idea. I'm not a coach. I'm not Motta. I'm looking at it from a fan perspective, and it just doesn't work. It's too easy for them to shut us down.
Yeah. Let's get those likes up, everybody. We got another one from Mark here. Do you think that Motta's mentality is still that of coaching Bologna? Playing good against the big teams and suffering against those below us. Can Motta change his system, or is he too rigid? So we got a couple questions there. So the first one is, do you think he is playing good against the big teams and suffering against those below us? Still that of coaching below. You know what's interesting? We literally brought this up yesterday in the members chat, and it's strange to me because you take all the names and you think about how many players over this many years, but every coach, and I can't figure it out why, every coach has changed when they've been at Juve. Sarri began the season, and we all remember red hot, and we were playing good ball. And it faded, and he switched it up completely, and we were playing one of the worst brands of football I've ever seen. And then you get to Pirlo. Pirlo had his thesis, his philosophy, which made sense, which was good, which was intriguing. It was exciting. He changed. And again, things started to go sideways. You lose out on the run very early in league, and then becomes this dogfight for, again, what I consider bare minimum top 4. It becomes this dogfight, but he changed too. He had to adapt. He had to shift. Allegri changed, and he went extreme pragmatism and pragmatic. It's like, But why? Why does that consider? And again, all the players have changed through that period of time, etc. But like they all do this, and even Motta from the beginning of the season till now. I guess my question is like, has there been a change here? Has he become more pragmatic than he was at the beginning? And is it the pressure? Is it the fact that at Bologna you're kind of playing with free money, but at Juve the results count, and when things like we said, the pressure is on. And everybody's watching him now with all these draws and where you're at in the table, etc. And spending 160, like it all adds up. And has he become too safe because of that? Is he not as free as we would maybe normally see him? I don't know. It's weird.
I don't think it's like he couldn't step up to the plate. He has played for big clubs and big occasions for Italy. He knows what pressure is, from Barcelona to Inter to Paris Saint-Germain. I mean, he had his fair share of big games and big teams. But again, we knew that when we signed him, we knew he was like an up-and-coming coach. We knew he wasn't a title-winning guy who did it in France and in Spain and England or whatever. That's why I'm more lenient and I'm willing to give it more time. Again, if we would have taken Conte, Guardiola, Pep, Klopp, whoever, my expectations would be a lot different.
Yeah.
That's where kind of I'm saying. I think he can change. I think he will change.
Yeah, if you're asking me the
I don't know
question
how long
of
it
do I
takes.
think can Motta change his? Of course he can. Do I believe he will? I believe he will too, because I mean, I think we're gonna kind of see it today. I mean, and if that's the case, it's obviously getting to him. He knows it's got to be better. It's got to pick up. So, yeah, I believe he will, and I think he has to. He has to. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting things to change.
You can't be a top coach nowadays if you don't adapt. You just have to.
Exactly. And that's my fear, and that's why I feel the jury is still out, is because it's the last thing I wanted. I said I don't care who the coach is, but he just can't be a one-trick pony, and I didn't take him for one, and I don't believe he is one. So I will say that he could change. He could change. For sure he can. Of course he can. Best Coppa Italia final. I mean, immediate. There's a lot, but in immediate to me, I love that one where we thrashed Milan. I can't remember what year that was.
Yeah,
that 17?
Yeah, I think Benatia had a brace.
Oh, dude, I think it was 4-0. Did they get one? I don't think they got one. I think it was 4-0 or 4-1.
No, it was 4-0. It was 2 Benatia goals, 1 Douglas Costa. Donnarumma had a horror show in that match. And one was straight from the corner. I think Pjanic was the one who took it. Yeah, but
that was a great
I think
one.
it was the season without Bonucci.
Yeah, that's right, because that's the kits we were wearing. That was 17-18 season.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
Season, that was probably my favorite one.
That one comes to mind immediately. I mean, just smashed him.
Yeah.
Justin, if you could change one player position on the team for more success, who would it be? If you could change one player position on the team for more success, who would it be? So I'm assuming that
Bremer
we're
to
saying
striker.
like that's essentially like saying Yildiz playing centrally in the 10 is what we believe would lead to
No,
more
I
success.
think it's like taking like a player like Gatti and saying if he was a right winger.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so like Yildiz playing in the 10 as opposed to on the wing.
No, I mean a complete like position change. A defender becomes an attacker.
Oh, like completely changing them.
I think that's how I understand it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You're going to have to clarify, Justin. Come on, you're going to have to clarify. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You got to clarify.
I'd move Bremer to striker. I wish Bremer was a striker.
After that scissor kick attempt there, let's get Gatti up front there. Come on. Sarri changed his approach after a few stutter steps at the start of his tenure and was unable, to replicate that Napoli play. Do you think Motta doesn't want to lose his personal brand like Sarri? Well, that would lead to some of the fans feeling that it's like he's being stubborn, right? I'm not sure how you go this long getting draws against these teams and like I said, not just getting draws, but like the constant struggle offensively for creation and just still not attempt what seems like such a simple thing to try. And again, it's these robust midfields against opponents that one of your main brands of football is one of the main items of your brand is the possession. You're going to have 68% of the ball against these teams. You don't need 3 midfielders in there when you're struggling to create a chance to save your life. When you're getting 68 to 70% of the ball and you're coming away with like 8 total attempts in a game, you've got to twist the screw. So I don't know what it is. I think he's just so hell-bent on not conceding. And to be honest, the irony in the whole thing is we are leaking. And it's like you're focused so much on something that it's hindering you in trying something else to repair another problem that it opens up other issues. And the longer it goes, it's becoming this demon that now every time they play one of these teams, they're like, oh, fuck, here comes the bus. And there's no confidence. You got to do it. We should have done it sooner. So, I don't know.
I wouldn't compare
I don't know what it is.
Sorry. I wouldn't compare to Sarri. He had a completely different team at the end of a cycle. Like his midfield was Pjanic, Matuidi, and Khedira was always injured. So it was either Artur or Rabiot, who were both awful. And so he couldn't play the way he wanted, and he had no idea what to do. Otherwise, it was very heavily reliant on Cristiano. Now I think Motta does have the players, but he just can't seem to figure it out. And it's not that those teams are great, and there's a lot of context to it. And I mean, Conte in his first season had tons of draws. I think like 11 or 12, but we weren't bad at the games. We did play well. We did have tons of chances, just didn't fall for us, and the other team stole a goal. And he kind of fixed it in the season afterwards. So there is context to how the games work. Like you said, it depends on possession, amount of attempts, and etc.
Yeah. And that big ciao going out to Trim here. All right, joining in there. Ciao, everybody. And, of course, reminding everybody, show some love, like the video. Let's go, everybody. Step it up and watch along is in play today. Mark, we got time for like 2 more quick ones. Is it just me, or do others think that one day Donnarumma will be our number 1 goalkeeper? Will Di Gregorio reach the level of Buffon? I can answer immediately. I don't. Everybody, Berto's not going to be around before there's anybody like Buffon again. I won't see it. I'll tell you that. I don't see it happening.
Buffon is Buffon because everything he's been through. It's the World Cup win. It's the Serie B. It's everything he stood for and represented and stood by. I don't think anyone would get a chance.
No.
To do all that and stay for that longer period in the same team, I don't see it happening.
As far as Donnarumma being our number 1 someday, I don't think so. I thought so.
I thought that was his plan, and that's where we'll eventually see him when his contract runs out at Paris Saint-Germain. But now that they bought the Gregorio, I don't think it'll happen. I think he'll move to the Prem, to one of the teams, maybe Chelsea.
Interesting. Mark, last one of the day here of the session. 10 draws means 10 points. 4 wins and 6 losses means 12 points. I find it hard to choose. I like being unbeaten and hate to lose. What do you think? After all, the 3 points win you the Scudetto. I've been saying this all along. Like, you get after it, the fact that you're undefeated, but we take a couple losses and you get a couple wins and you're higher up in the table, give me that. I don't care about if you're unbeaten and you don't reach top 4. Think about that. That's almost like that's ridicule material, like an undefeated team that had no sniff of a title. No, I'd rather take the losses and give me the points. Get me higher up in the table. Like, give me the points. Give me the points. That's just me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, after the last 4 or 5 seasons, we can deal with losses as long
And
as
I'll be
the
quite
wins coming
honest.
out the other way.
I'll be quite honest. The Venezia game is a loss for me. Like, that feels worse than a loss almost.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't feel like a win or even a draw. It feels like we just dropped the ball, and those are 2 missed points. We didn't earn 1 point. We lost 2, and that's awful. I would take 3 wins and 3 losses over 6 draws any day of the week.
Yeah. Give me the points. Give me the points. Go up the table. At the end of the year, nobody's looking at the team that won and saying, "Oh, they lost like 4 games. They lost like 8 games. They lost." No, there's your winner. Give me the points. Give me the points. Higher point totals. Always. We love to go undefeated, but you still undefeated and coming away with nothing.
But it's worth nothing if you don't win anything.
Exactly. So like being undefeated but getting nothing out of the season is,
because it immediately wins. You had a million draws. Like if you're undefeated and you won most of your games, you'll win the Scudetto. If you did that and haven't,
take a look at Weston McKennie's interview. For anybody that didn't, because this literally came up and it said that's got to be great, being undefeated. And he literally look at his reaction and look at how he's like, he's like, yeah, like it's amazing and whatnot. It's great to be undefeated, and you could feel it right there. It's that but because you should be doing better, and at the end of the day, the points matter, and you're still a team that's like 6. Yes, again, it's tight. It's tight. We got a lot of time. There's a lot of football. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Hopefully today, this Coppa crazy lineup that he's got turns the screws. Let's see. We're going to be live for the watch along 20 minutes before kickoff. Omer, absolute pleasure. As always, brother. Everybody in the chat, you guys are always fantastic. Drop a like. I hope that we could share the Coppa Italia match together. I hope that many of you can join me, all right? And, of course, post-match podcast tomorrow. Let's make it a victory show. The victory shows are the best. Let's make it a victory show, okay? Let's see if the predictions come to fruition. Let's go.
We don't have enough of those this season. Come on.
Yeah, so let's go. The nice thing is this one cannot end in a draw, but my God, it better end up in a win, and I believe it will. Yield is at the 10. Cope Miners dropping back. Hashtag Loca CB. We know Alex P is going to be happy, so let's check it out, everybody. I look forward to this game and seeing what these changes bring. We are trying something. Hey, I respect that. I respect that we are trying something different, something new, and I hope that it brings through something that we can move forward. Let's see, everybody. All together, tutti insieme for the watch along. As always, fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Ciao tutti. We'll see you in a couple hours.